that means the science is heavily politicized, and my field is becoming hugely distorted if I'm not allowed to say that male and female are real.
We're living in a world where cancel culture is a real thing, and you took a leave of absence from Harvard after some comments you made on US TV sparked a student outcry. What's it like to be in the crosshairs of that? Because I think for a lot of people, you hear of cancel culture and it happens to people. What's it like when it's you?
Sorry.
And I'm so sorry to ask the question, but I think it's
No. I'm glad you're asking, because people should know it's personal. It's people like. I worked in my department for 20 years. I had friends and colleagues I respected, and I thought they respected and supported me. And I was doing my job, and I was doing it well. And part of my job is saying things like they're male and female are real. I was in the Department of Evolutionary Biology. So to not be supported when attacked, publicly supported, and having my, people who are in positions of power at academic institutions should be supporting their scholars who are trying to discover how the world works and communicate it. So the fact that that did not happen, and in some cases, I can't talk about everything that happened, but it's very painful personally. It's painful professionally, economically, and it's just sad because we need trusted institutions to, like journalism and academia. We need to be able to trust these institutions to communicate the truth. And that's not happening. There's the values that these institutions are supposed to be promoting and defending and manifesting seem to be crumbling. So
do you agree that science is under attack, stemming from a need or a culture of telling people what they want to hear rather than the truth? And if you do agree with that, Dr. Hooven, just how damaging is that, not only for academia, but also for social progress?
Yes. So that is definitely happening. I don't know why I'm grinning about it. Because it's really happening on such a huge scale. I can't even begin. Well, I can begin to describe how it is happening in scientific journals, in the classroom, in news, the way that big news outlets like the New York Times or Scientific American report on the supposed science. So what is being taught, what is being published, what is being reported on is not the sort of a reflection of sort of unbiased inquiry and knowledge. It is a reflection of what is safe to report or teach or study, what is the least likely to cause certain groups of people or activists least likely to cause offense, perceived as the most likely to promote social justice. So it's extremely biased. There's a huge overrepresentation of progressives or liberals in the academy and in media. And that's dangerous because that means the science is heavily politicized, and my field is becoming hugely distorted if I'm not allowed to say that male and female are real, and little kids are being taught this now in school.
I saw a tweet you commented on yesterday where kids at a school during sex education, they're not being referred to as boys or men or girls or women. It's people who produce sperm or people who produce eggs. And I didn't know what age group that's going out to.
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade. Okay, so this is something that is really happening in real education
Yes,
systems across the country,
yes.
and it ties into what we were saying about stifling academic freedom. What's the end point? How dangerous is this? What world do we end up in where the fear of upsetting someone takes greater precedence over scientific fact and the truth about things that are so important to our everyday lives?
Yeah, I think it's a type of dictatorship, and it's scary when a small number of vocal activists have control of language and concepts, and there is fear stoked in people who disagree or who are curious, who can't ask questions, which means we cannot have liberal democracy, because that requires an openness to debate, to understand how the world works, form educated opinions, and participate in a democracy. So if there's a small group that is controlling through whatever means the language and instilling fear in people who just might have questions, cannot even get the facts about reality, that undermines democracy and disadvantages social progress and disadvantages, I think, the very causes that certain groups of activists are trying to promote, and divide society. And ultimately, if our institutions fail, which they are actually failing, I don't know what comes next. Like, I don't know. We need values. We need to train individuals, I think, in our democracy, in the academy, to in sort of a type of indoctrination, like at Harvard. What should have happened, what should be happening, is that the most basic value is that we search for and communicate the truth, and that should be defended, and that should be promoted. And if we're not doing that, and this is just the academy, of course, there's so many other institutions, but what matters now is the individual, each individual's values, each student's sense of themselves and their authentic selves and their own values and their lived experience, instead of having an institutional value that everyone's participating in, that everyone's buying into. So things have gone topsy-turvy here. And I'm trying to do what I can to uphold the values that I think made sense, that we should try to return to. And there are, at Harvard, we now have a Council on Academic Freedom that some of the professors are joining. So we're making some progress, and institutions should, fight for the values that they believe in, and people in charge need to participate there.
So do you feel that we are seeing a shift then? Because it has felt like for a while to some people that corporations, governments, politicians, universities are in kind of constant capitulation to a vocal minority.
Yeah. Yes.
It's such a controversial, for lack of a better word, subject, that it's easier for people who traditionally we would look up to for guidance and leadership to duck it. Do you feel that we're moving away from that? Are you seeing enough signs of progress that things are returning to perhaps a more balanced or nuanced view? I'm sensing maybe not. And if not, just how lonely a battle is it to try and force the science to be at the forefront of every single discussion on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that the science needs to be at the forefront, but it is, evidence and reason and logic and listening to people you disagree with, instead of calling them names and shutting down argument. That just means that the other person or group doesn't really have an argument and is just saying you're doing violence or you're transphobic. This is no way to unite people in a common cause. Obviously, this is bullying, and it's just bad for the functioning of a democracy. So in terms of where we're headed, I do feel that political division is increasing, unfortunately. So there's a segment of kind of liberal progressives. I'm a liberal person, and I'm not a conservative. However, I am aligned with conservatives on free speech and biological reality. So there's all these group divisions that to me do seem to be increasing. And I think what the first step needs to be to have respectful conversations with people you disagree with. I think largely everyone is trying to do the right thing. Everyone is coming from a different place, whether it be the part of the country that they live in, their religious background, their political background, their socioeconomic status, their ethnicity, sexual orientation, transgender status. All of these things matter. All of these things shape deeply people's views. And if we're just in our little silos and not listening to each other, it's just going to get worse and worse. So I think step one is conversation and not stigmatizing people who disagree.